What is going on, guys? Correct 1287 here, bringing you some Battlefield 3 gameplay. In the background, gonna have some Karg Island Conquest, and a pretty decent round going 19 and 1. Yeah, I might have had some help from some revives, but the interesting of the aspect of this round was the amount of just doing some gunning on the back of a Jeep. You really don't see that often in Battlefield 3 because of how unprotected the gunners are. It'll be interesting to see how that is handled in Battlefield 4. I know a lot of the later maps that we saw in Battlefield 3, you saw much more protected gunners and things like that. So is that going to carry over into Battlefield 4? Time will tell. It'll be interesting to see if that happens. Alright, let's get straight into the actual first, legit topic. I know I mentioned some Battlefield 4 stuff, but that was just real minor speculation. Nothing's really been shown yet. So let's get into the first question, topic that I have, and that's dealing with what a lot of people have already been discussing. I'm just going to approach it from a different perspective, and that is the new game mode that we've been shown, Obliteration. And it's interesting, I posted on Reddit just months and months and months ago. I did a post suggesting different variations of rush mode, and one of them was a sort of tug-of-war type of rush mode where there were 3 MCOMs on each side. Only one from each team was active at a time, and it was a sort of tug-of-war, best 2 out of 3 type of deal. Once one team armed either of the ones and it gets blown up, then the next 2 would be armed and then or able to be armed. And so this is kind of like that. I never suggested something like this in which there is a bomb that you have to actually take to the MCOMs. So that's a very interesting twist on what I thought would be released for Battlefield 4. And granted, there's still other game modes that will be announced that we just don't know of yet. So maybe there will be something like that. But I am glad to see that it is a sort of, MCOM rush mode type of spinoff, because that is a great objective-based game, and the way that they approached it in Obliteration does keep a much more open-ended map. It kind of combines the 2 game modes that we currently have with the large open multiple objective points, multiple places that you could go to that you have for Conquest, and then you've got that detonate, attack and defend type of objective that you get out of Rush. And so that is a really nice thing. Rush, I typically play it for a change of pace. When I'm playing Battlefield, I want the large maps with the vehicles and just completely open-ended paths that you and your opponents can take. I like that, but then, every now and then it's nice to have some concentrated chaos, I guess you could call it, where you have just, on certain maps, the bottlenecks are really, really bad, and that allowed for, 32 and under player count to be good, but once you got above that, it just made it too easy for defenders because there's only 2 or 3 hallways or lanes that the attackers could go down, and it didn't matter how many attackers you had or how many tickets you had. It just would never happen. Basically, the story from 300, funneling through the hot gates, their numbers will account for nothing. That's basically what happened in a lot of those rush maps. So this is a good balance between those 2 game types, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. My only gripe with it, and this is the same gripe that I had with the CTF mode that was reintroduced into the Battlefield franchise in the in-game game, DLC that was released somewhat recently for Battlefield 3, and that was that the person that has the objective shows up on everybody's map, including enemies, or at least you see on the mini-map how close it is to being captured. You don't necessarily know exactly where they are, but you have a good idea. And everybody goes for that one person. Well, for me, if I try to, play the objective all the time, I would do that and get instantly blown up by a tank or a javelin or a helicopter. And it was just, with having javelins, being able to lock onto these dirt bikes, I mean, that really put a damper in my ability to capture that thing. I think actually to this date, as of this recording, I only have one flag capture. I've had tons and tons of assists where I've helped people to get there because you really have to have a lot of meat shields, and I'd help be that meat shield for people, or I'd be the one that was holding it and I'd get blown up, and then they would pick it up and take it the rest of the way while the TV missile or the javelin reloads. So it really killed me, my opinions on that game mode, CTF, because it was so easy to kill the person that had the objective. Now in Obliteration, what we've seen so far out of Gamescom is that that person holding the thing does show up on everybody's map, and it's in constant update. So I don't know if I like that much. I feel like maybe it should be constant update for your friends, but if you're an enemy, you only get to see the little blip of where they are located every 5 seconds or every 10 seconds, or just something to make it not so easy for attack choppers, jets, things like TV missiles and lock-on weapons. Just a little, give that person just a slightest bit of chance to live. So, what are your guys' thoughts on this? Do you foresee the constant 24/7, this is where the enemy that has the bomb is? Is that going to be a little too much and make it too difficult for accurate players to kind of exploit or take advantage of that just that constant, this is where they're at, if you're a good shot, just aim at this little icon and your explosive weapon is in all likelihood going to damage them and kill them? Or is it going to be fine? Is it going to be balanced? Are the maps going to have enough trees and walls and buildings or actual hills and landmass in the way to where you can't just look at that icon on your 3D spot and look at the minimap and see, okay, they're this far away from my minimap, that means I should probably lead them with this rocket this far or this tank round or whatever. Is it enough? Can DICE balance it so that this game mode is not going to simply become those who try to play the objective just constantly die? I'm sure they'll do a good job. From what we saw, this was a whole lot of noobs playing. Nobody had seen these maps before. People are still getting used to the weapons and whatnot. So that's why I don't think a lot of people were able to do as well killing the objective holder. But, time will tell. But what are your guys' thoughts? Let's get a nice discussion going, and, hopefully DICE will listen to the community and see if they want to continue in the right direction. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I actually think it'll be a pretty interesting game type and fairly well balanced compared to the Capture the Flag. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the gameplay and the discussion. Looking forward to reading your comments down below. Have a good one. Ta-ta.